So, we're going to take you on a journey back to the Dark Ages to 657 AD, when this was the ancient kingdom of Northumbria. This part was Deira, from the Tees down to the Humber. From the Tees up to Bamborough was Bernicia. It was ruled by King Oswy, but he installed his son, Aelfrith, to look after the southern kingdom as a kind of sub-king. But they ended up in battle, and Aelfrith was killed. But anyway, so at this time, St. Hild was in the monastery on the Hartlepool headland. The Abbey of Whitby was under construction. King Oswy had just defeated King Penda of Mercia and given land at Whitby for Hild to build a monastery there. So this is an epic poem that I wrote. It was published a few years ago, and it tells the story of an Anglo-Saxon monk called Brother Oswin, and he's walking from Hartlepool to Whitby, and he's carrying some secret letters from St. Hilda, and he's travelling through the wilderness, thinking about his life. There's 8 parts to the book. We're going to do the first 3 parts, more or less, to give you a taste of it. But if you like it, you can listen to the whole thing on SoundCloud. I've got copies of the book if anyone wants to buy one. It's written in a kind of weird hybrid language of Old English, Northern dialects. So you might not understand it initially, but after a while you'll start to tune into it, hopefully. It's called Leasungspell, which means fool's tale in Old English. And it goes like this.
And all the worried mothers say, and there beside the river play. An old hag lurks in the water there with jagged teeth and seaweed hair. Her skin is green and her eyes are mean, and she's bad right through to the bone. So you better flee if you ever see her green and bubbling foam.
West, lads, had your gobs. The legions named this Dunham Sinus, though this fair day there be slight sign of their mighty stone berg, with the bay shimmering like a silver scuttle, blinding the eye as God's own light, to show me the gun from the horn of hotness. Sticky and straight into the wave swell like a bold hope for firmness. Though in truth I feel a lightness to be outside its frithguard and the festering stink of Mislick Spellion within the flock of God's given skippo. Me errand be hard, though nothing over mickle, from shoulder to lifted fingers in fairness, though 3 days trek at most, though freckin' lick la so fickle, full of hidden polite, beset with demon and heathen. For though King Oswy folgeth the true faith, have overdriven the pagans under Penda the dragon, this wide land be still scoured by tidy war gangs, clinging to the owl dark trod like ticks to a rotten sheep. Angles who wrangle with the love of Christ, the word of God, and mudholes of Imran. Here, before the giants and their walls, worshipping their own uncouth gods, half beast, half man, to welk some of Hamcam in the Christ's long mission. Across the slake, afore Utsang, afore the first lark took to lift afore my sleep-laden brethren shook off the droffing skins of dreams. Arnlick the good earl above bore witness, and a few wretched curls rummaging among the minster's warm waste pits. Land and waters seethe with all ghost folk, hobs, orcs, elves, whalers, will-o'-the-wisps, who would lure me wicked from the path into some bottomless lech to swallow me whole without a rack. I rub the coffin wooden rude hanging on a strap about me neck, whisper a prayer to God's bairn in heaven that he will look on me and held me hale. The eek streams gob be clathed in drifting haze, sea fret, wind and showers, sheetung, hidung, the trails and sandbanks. Though twixt them I spy the hills yon side, afore the ridge a mist-strung moorland. Welk I need cross, ere I reach Strionis Lal.
Are you going to stray on this line? Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. Through many strong warm and whispering pine, you were once a true love of mine.
Howbeit, I have gied mansel well for this errand. It be a great worth to be bearing the writ of warm Mistress Hild, holy wife, so we may spread the will of Almighty God all o'er these eaglands, fling hagworms from the cliffs, looming o'er the wave house, bring on his tidung of frith and bliss to the world. And I have gied mansel well for this errand. It be a great worth. I have skewed this flesh afore mine gannon, given myself o'er fully to the love of our Highland, so he me school me sins of earth-bound anger, lust and guilt, and tread with me through the wilderen. Me gan be warded by the prayers and blessing of Hild of Heritua, her sen, that elk footstep be sunful, mine eyes and ears keen and true. Cross winds, beat down reeds and long grasses, churn waters of these burns and salt wells where I startle a stilt-brid wading in shallows, heifer dipping and supping its feed through the shimmer of itself, but Welk flutters to lift in a flurry of night shadow and sleet, its bright blade of a neb piercing the stillness with pipe dreams, till it glides to far strand, settles itself, spread wide its wings in a warning, and glares at me as if I be the devil himself. I must follow these winding tracks upstream to where the boatman waits to take me over to the southern strand, to the kingdom of Derenris. There begins me trot through Woodoo to the old Acgraf, with their horn, heifers and hollow hearts, where a gloom-smitten man might wade through fern froth, stoop within, to stand among the creeping ring-clods of green tide. The old ack, dead in its breast hoard, though living well without, and thou within, wheezing, supping dew, growing and rotten, steadfast in forgetfulness. I'll not be lagging long there, but climbing up to East Nab, where Sinfire's brim at Beltane, at Laffemas, at Samhain, or all above, I have beheld those far burnings at night from the Minster window, and when upon the wind I hearken their wild hill song and horns, I cross my sen to ward off their evil. The glowering, hungry hillfires brought back the burnings I saw after me long ferding into Ragged when I was green-eyed and bare-lauren in High King in Northwreath Ford, fighting with the sons of Owen, where I took the life of another man and saw his spiritus flee on its bone house, stealing something of me own soul with it. Where Atheling ap Owain was hacked to death, his thanes dragged into thraldom, where the slaughterer and warfires spilled on through rain-drenched dells for days, until Oswy was Wislick. He hath smothered any smouldering hope of Hainoch lead within those wreckmags that have to spitteth. The Kinning gave his seek spreg atop his hengest, sharing his dream of a kingdom of brother Skype under the guiding hand of Northern Humbria. In memory of Oswald Lamgwin, we raised Thunor, rattling swords against shields, shaking war spear heffords at the peaks. Born me homecoming, I was near the man who hath gone. Me nerves raw, me sleep filleth with the quelling I have seen. The fells and braes full of bloody manscrag, left for craws' beaks and wolf's maws. A dream on sands of winding waterways, grey seals sunbathe idle, Gaelic tides smithying rocks, and how they honk, how they bark to one another, whiskers a bristle, coal eyes a tremble whenever they find me passing, and I wonder what dreams flow inside their flood dog skulls. Some say some seals are nae true seals at all, but shifters who have clothed themselves in fur, choosing to dwell half their lives as deer that dive through ice-cold brine and eag-stream waters, nagging raw fish and laughing at gods and mankind. Though these be but least spell for gawks and bairns. Rather, I reckon, though ants beings with souls that befell some great bane or blight or harm, and sitting Lithian with the gloom for so long, without some man to steer him from that trod, who have forgotten their links to mankind and choose a life apart in the salt sea tides, on the bleak edges of the world's tear ducts. The man I slew in Reged have oft hunted me breast hard, for though we both fought baldlick, spear and shield for widow kinnings, he was nae my true foeman. I ken nae his name, neither warcraft maketh me sicker end and him world dead, but rather luck, God, or the weird. And slipping into sudden ground with a bloody gash, me spear have opened in his crack. I saw me send through his death mist, fell to warm wellspring, a mind rush, a high rugged boggers, steep woodoo, and Skeeltum dales spilling into his inborn earth. And on like then did I see how we all, as blossom of earth, burst or rot to Ganham. So that through his death I found a path to faithfulness, for welk I have oft given thanks unto him, and prayed he be in heaven with the King of Kings. The sheets of mist thicken and gobble land and sea, and all soons are bundled in swathing cloths. I have to stumble in slab and calderied water, hit a dead end, more than thrice lose my way and have to backplod in finding another path. The gannon be slaw. When I come upon a boulder lying like a wafer's egg, I climb on it to rest a time and wait for the field of mists to rid. Within billowing whiteness, Skookum and Skinum whirl, meld into 1,000 shapes and misshapes that dwindle. Things I canna ken, the wreckage of hengests, elk as big as a berg, wickerwork dragons strung together by humming fishing twine, looming o'er the earth's hide, stricken by some sickness god's scythe, spread to vellum by ground fastened pins, mickleness a gigan's thigh. Me mind after long suffering hunter racing away, and as a bairn I was overscared of darkness. The Minster have been a hive of fuss and flurry, a wellspring of trickery and fitfulness, sithen the virgin Alfleda's coming. Sister Sethreth said she be the spit likeness of her mother, whom she once saw in Bebbanborough. Though in mine eye, Alfleda wee lambkin looked Gaelic an angel. Teague a gild a Glenged lily for saw few winters. I believe bairns should be bairns while I can. But that day, when we all gathered in the prayer house, as Abbess Hild welcomed her and her horde into our flock, I knew the Minster would never be the same. Oswey's eyes were now locked on us at all times, through the bearing of Alfleda's house curl, Boahard. Walking all a boot, Gaelic the Virgin's twisted, grisly shadow. Hild have forbidden weapons of war within the Frithgard, and thrusted the gang of armed ferdmen abide in the lay house behind the gate, Hengesters stalled, war dogs penned, but was bound that day to welcome Bohard's spear and sword, along with Oswy's daughter, wet nurse, and twa pretty hand things. Bohard, one of Oswy's thanes. Bohard, it was said he have slaughtered Oswy's wayward son at Gilling on the Durn Hester the Kinning. Bohard, I have seen him afore in years long sped. He have led a warband in the Heergang a Reged. Bohard, I have watched him guiding by the fire of bloodshed, kindly granting his war guests their end gifts by heaping fresh death all about. Bohard, within the minster's stillness, his long braiding hair, his scarred keifer, his wolfskin mantle and likeness to a bear was like the winter's snap at the end of a mild bloodmaneth. The fog be a rippling brimworld forsaken its ebb, leaving me a castaway on this fist of stone, ringed by great fish with fang-tooths and fins and worms that slither up from the deeps. There be a crack in the rock beside me knee. When I look nearer, I find a mesh web of spidra weft. A silver skin studding with black hanging bindles, gems sucked dry by the life that weft this weird net, dwelling further in the dark of the crack, shunning the glare of the world candle, and snaring wet sparks on elk sticky thread. Only God kens what sunshine spiders hunker in the web hollows of me iron breast's hoard. I sing to my sen while I twine time on boulder. First, hymns and canticles I learned within the minster, then lurid, scamful songs me father sang beside the fire pit in the evenings when I was a bairn. Leith and glee words passed down from the old lands, from where our forefathers came in times languid to stake these eaglands. Yarns of a witch queen of endless ice, the son of the Brimworld, who sought to woo her cold-hearted daughter, who had the eyes of more than one man torn from their sockets for looking too long upon her. And the bald son of Shield's fight with the grim Skiltor Grendel. The sinews of old tales were sown in me school, for me father was a Scotbycraft, and his word led all yet went through the meadows of mist. God rest and forgive his heathen soul. For his tongue oft ran away, weaving together tales of war neighbours and the old gods. as me father waned, it was naught but lewd scanfulness to me suffering wife Emma. Though to me, his yarns were the crashing tides of a restless sea. And oft have I stood on strand, I straining to see on the narrow path where Swaggle and Brimflood meet, minding the first of our wares with salt-pitted brows, to fare the cowled dread deeps, Gaelic Simil and Sigagar, dragging their warships onto these sands and pebble stands. I would think on 'em, treading from tumble and surf, wilder bears and sea wolves clinking in bright steel. Ilk and no, with Boerhard's scarred keys. I ken I am shivering, me teeth rattling. I wonder if it be the clammy fog or the grim skeeltors gripping me. Yet in time the evening sun breaks through the scruds of Balclwyd, tearing them to tattering and swapping them away, like the dark-lit nightmares of childhood. Out o'er the eag stream's gob, a bag's eye, 5 beams from the world light, thrustingeth the torrent grey cloud bulk in slanting shafts of golden locks. Neither skyping where a flickering a falcon, ilk webbed in Serphian pearl, and from heaven's threshold bright swing songs of seraphim fall to bless this restless store. The good Earl be near brittle dolphin, or there's some far elegast, but alive and quick in all his handiwork. Shank stiff from folks' clammy fingers, I plod onweg, humming glee words and whistling to brids. And listening to the chorus of the land go back. Shortlick, the path waxes steadmer with wee trees gripping Middengard twixt their roots to withstand the tour of high tides. And within a thicket, 'twere magpies a hop, a scrummage for lingering berries, grubs, beetles and weevils. And as I pass their Thorndyke, nod their heifers as if they ken a kin. Though I was oft telled as a bairn how these brids keep a drop of the devil's blood in their crack, and so should you latch one, and without its beak snapping a finger, happen to prock its tongue, it may speak to you like a burn might do, and tell you things that have ne'er yet come. Swift tales I held as true for a long time before I gan into the learning of heredity. Trees crush the bark, and where they break, I spy the wooded graves under the knuckled nab. Some days the tree thick hills shimmer in bright greens, while on others lick new, they lie like a dark real flesh shimmer, washed up by the freight flood of old, drinking or hewing from the uplift. And there, poking up behind, the hookered cliff-proof Pullman of Wartansberg. I pick me stride for the sun's sinking and a hearken something raw forlorn in fineness. Near bone keep Arab and out for the heart folk relic, stumbling in lucid to its doom in the left. Swope a wild barren wailing, set the heart to tremble. I snide to reach steadfast room to find a dry spot to lay me skull before night's cowl be full laden. Though restless sleep may still fly from me, as it did last eventide before mine gannon. There I lay restless in me bed, covered lightly from napping, then waking with a shudder from one dark weapon of another, that lift and fall like extinguished at daybreak, until morgan lightung crept into me cell. In a bolted, upright, sucking in clammy sweat, held within the mind ghost of losing me kin, me bride and bairns to the grim refuge bloody strike. How was near there to keep me heart folks ill? Who afterward I dwelt as a wreck in the gloom, until the abbess called me to God's good craft. Although another shadow on me flickering dreams was as a fiend's worm, a wild water ghost, who, naked, came leaping like bright steam through me mind, as night's dark fold bears the deepened moon. Her long locks a tangle, all her lithe body stripping with wounds and streams of blue woad, pearls bored, with silver rings and gnashly stars. I began to lilt at Galgo, smelt the sweet soulful wail of woe, and I, so screaming with scanful whisper glow, was right stite to gang mad. So overfilled with fire guilt, a flagging me sinful flesh ham till it bled. Until I hearkened while Minster's bells swing, the Earl House, calling lords into the waking light. Suddenly, from otherwhere at the nowhere, I hear the word-lick bark of a dog in gathering murk, shooting me like a ball from a heron blast. To the back time I stood on meadow by the team pool, me rod and latch in hand, when I hearkened me hand dog's grisly burn, the yelling of me folk in need and the Flotman raiders' bloodfare. Me heifered long rush through long wet grass, along the path, finding me deerins dead, me hammer grim fire, and the sea thieves all gone. Langing stings like a fresh sword biting an old scar. And I pray to God Almighty for calm and hope of heart. Then as I trod the trail, I begin to fall under the inkling that some man watches me, though who and from where I cannot say. Yet me mind's eye crafts a waggle on, with scarred keyful, long knotted mane, slinking through shadow, a thrusting knife held in one claw. Mistress held mistrust till flayed his house curb bore hard, thrusting a bear these letters straight to Earl Aelfrith and to Himmelan. What trysts and twistings weaving twixt Caning Oswy and War Holy Mother. Her standing and swear be spreading. Perhaps he sees a threat in her as well as a boon. I have little mind of the long wecks in Moneth that dwelt in the gloom, under the feet of swine, after burying me household, lost to the gloom, that halfway stead twixt life and death, where both light and darkness sting, and me body was nought but spore-clued, floating on woodoo, in a baleful swell of soreness, me gob shorn of words, flagging by elk dog at dawn, gutted by elk dusk, a thing I became, a greenling, a fern-frond, bracken, moss, that bathed decay in fancy dress, and wax again from rot. Me eyes were rain rings on still water, where oft times I would lie with skull-washed skin. Other among snowflakes swirling from a hollow on a hillside, shivering. Although when I stood on a peak, they became the casket of the life-living blue that burns out the breast wound and draws out pus with elk strike. under icebound mares. I saw all my kinfolk oversleeping beneath me frosted feet and clawing hands. Even when I cracked the ice, there was nothing I could do to wake him. I awoke to find the fell of dark tides. La, get him loose. Black nights of the bitter blood-brimmed curse. Lucid, Gaelic me darlings. Anlick left living. Anlick worse. I plucked berries, felt swam, wort, root and nut, chewed nettle, mallow, tickled trout, grubbed for sour scraps of war the Mercian raiders left, for Pender's war gangs were scuffing northward, reaping a bloodfest through all northern Humbria, driving Oswey back to his stronghold at Bebbanborough. And I came upon the wrecks of other Hampsteads left Gaelic mine, burnt out farms, swested nests, Wotan's crop, the heifers on spikes. Though through these wendings I would spy me father at the tree line, near addled by too many windows, leaning heavy on his staff, but younger than I, standing strong and upright in the shade and calling to me and broke to shake the beams of the mead hall when I was but a snot-necked bairn huddled in the thresh. But when I reached the spot where he had beckoned from, he was gone. Oft times standing further off amid the trees, and I would rap at him in long saw gurning, "Father, where hath my life flown?" I went drifting days after me father's ghost, deeper into the heart of the halt, to a hollow store with a ring of standing stones sharp as fang tooths, a wolf's maw bared to tear at the passing sun, snap at and tear off a silver sliver of the sickle moon. An onyx stone, a script of rune marks I cannot ken. Elf kirk of earth spells, old as you undone, withstanding waves of wind, fire, water, time. And me father standing strong in middle, beckoning me come, and door shy, sniffing for freckened, listening to the canticle of trees. I crept from undergrowth into Ergestein ring, where he laid me down on soft earth, stroking me hair, as he did when I was a snot hag-ridden bairn in me bed. And as woolen sleep smothered me, he spoke. What be a man to do, mine son? Better to settle a reckoning for your dealings than dwell forever in Alistan gloom. The dreams I trekked within the elf ring have oft haunted me breast hard, for though cracked and henkled there be Picts, felons, smeck and sweck that seemed more true than any waking day. Where I lived and licking the eye gleam of wild things, in the glent a falling bolting through the thickets, as I did at tokens of soul beings, and the old town wailing, overwhelming brain by a Gaelic a water fall betwixt my ears, the hollow drone of stars behint my eyes. Until yon day, I hearken a swing song, a effing ledor, rearing in Waldor. Saw wending along the arc leaf path, along Farrah of folk, some monks clothed in white smocks, led by a priest bearing high heaven's brand. I folgeth, keeping to the tree scurf, to reach a blossom filled beside the shallow babbling swale, where a great throng gathered to hear their song and their spelling of the words of God's own Son. When the monks began to dip folk in Cold Stream, a Giangathron, and the priest, Oftor, asked his heavenward to free me from my burden of sin, to have kindness on my soul, and bid me in fed to his flock. He then sank me full within the Carl Stream's floor, and there, in Oftor's hand, I digan and was reborn. And thereafter, I went with them, God folk, to Herity, where they sheared Mindrothan ragged fleece. Thank you very much for listening. Everyone. And I'm Bob Beagrie. If anyone wants to buy my book, I've got a copy. Hope you enjoyed that. It's a bit weird.